kind of riggedy bullshit is that? There's a timer for the front-facing camera, but the back-facing camera has no timer. No idea why. More Rorschach's journaling. I guess it's August 7th, 2020, 1:45. Let's see. I'm cutting corners after I accused other people of cutting corners. I don't know, this is atrociously old for me, but at the end of the day, I gotta understand that the reason I started this Rorschach's journal was that silly dumb word called hope, maybe. Out of all the hundreds of thousands of gremlins watching this just to snicker and make up whatever they want to make up, so they're going to do that whatever it costs because it's what they depend on. What does that mean? The microphone. Where do I begin? Let's begin again. Unfortunately, my story doesn't really change. I guess that's why it's getting so boring. But unfortunately, it's a giant hurdle, and I'm not budging until it's dealt with. Whether she wants to believe it or not, whether she's thinking or not, whether she's alive or not, the story for me thus far, the way the chess pieces are set up, is that she showed up and started talking to the same people. A brave Achilles showed up and tipped off that she was going to be here looking for me. So she didn't even realize she was stepping into a trap while trying to set up a trap for me. Fast forward, now we got a situation where they're up to some satanic no good down in that riverbed, and they want me to do something about it because it completes their trap. I wind up in jail, prison, rasping my head up against prison bars, screaming about the Illuminati killing people in the riverbed, and they laugh and cackle while a whole new group of swine gets moved in to torture and torture and torture whoever it was I was trying to save. It's being able to call them out on that fact. That's why they hate me. If you can imagine at this point, at the beginning, Angelina Jolie is behind a dark curtain, pulling strings and whispering things to her little group of people, setting up this scenario, laughing at me while I'm in the middle, like desperate to figure out what the fuck is going on. So eventually, she watches me on screen just go ahead and sling a shot to my bow and aim it in an awkward direction. And almost like that scene from Mr. and Mrs. Smith when she was watching Brad Pitt get the better of her and she didn't even realize it. Is that I took a shot in a random direction, and when that freaking arrow hit her smack in the forehead, she's been in shock ever since, and she's been texting and telling people what to do in every direction except just admitting that I called her out on some weird game that wasn't going to end well for either one of us. And we've been locked there ever since. Every single person that's stepped into the situation from the beginning was put on something like a one-way track, a treadmill. Man, I started calling out everybody, if you can remember. Sylvester Stallone, the cast of The Expendables. I told every last one of them, Jet Li included, show up and fight me. Stop believing all this bullshit. Bring Jet Li. I will fight him in front of everybody, and nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to just walk over and pick up the wand. Everybody wants to stand around in the bleachers in the darkness, whispering and conjecturing and rumoring. And that's where I've been stuck for the last 5 years. So Angelina Jolie is so desperate for me to make a chess move, she doesn't realize that, yeah, I'm there. So we're one move away from a checkmate. It's just, unfortunately, the cards you're playing means is when you finally do pick up that piece, you complete this game, it's you who's going to be taken out first. The rest of the pieces will fall like dominoes in your wake. And I'm not going to settle for anything less than the whole enchilada. I have no reason at this point not to. So, TikTok, here we are. At this point, I kind of do hope, in a weird way, that the real Angelina Jolie was murdered. Just so I'm not actually dealing with. Some people are. Let me throw this out there real quick. Yeah, I've come to the conclusion that a lot of these women in Hollywood are on puppet strings, being forced to do this weird evil shit, because if they don't, weird evil shit's gonna happen to them, and they've got to laugh and giggle and pretend positivity and all that. I understand. It's just what sucks is a lot of these women, I've been able to lay it out as such. They've run into me randomly, and off the books could have just reached out and said hello. And from my perspective, every last one of them would rather sit back and assume and conjecture something about me as I walk by instead of just whatever. So that's where we're standing. That's where we're at. TikTok, I guess. I don't know. I want to end this on the number 6. I have no idea what this is. It looked like Natalie Portman for a second.